Hey guys, this is Anthony, and today I'm going to be talking about child rearing. So, child rearing is just basically bringing up children and how they're raised and how it's relevant in today's society and everything. I have my visual aid next to my computer. I'm trying to use it on here, but the glare from my iPad is making it really hard to read. So I'll try to include it in and out whenever I can. But child rearing can be defined as the process of bringing up a child or a set of children. So really, just kind of how you instill certain customs, how you bring them up, how you raise them, and then different types of parenting styles as they're being raised into adulthood. There are four different types of parenting styles. We're only going to talk about three because the fourth parenting style is absentee parenting, which is exactly what it sounds like. There's no real connection with the child. There's nothing really there, and there's no pros to it. It's really only negative, and it has that negative impact on the child. So we're not going to be talking about it as much. But right now we have indulgent parenting, which is exactly what permissive parenting is. It's just fewer attempts to direct children's behavior. They avoid confrontation with their children, and it really kind of makes it harder for the child to communicate, and they have to make decisions more for themselves. A good backup to that, though, is it allows the child to be more creative and use their thought process rather than having to rely on their parents. Another type is authoritarian. Authoritarian parents are very strict. They're more set rules, set standards, and it's kind of like such as like having a curfew. You have to be back by a certain time. You're only allowed to do this. You're only allowed to use your phone past certain hours. You can't watch TV after doing it without before you do your homework or anything like that. And after authoritarian is authoritative, which is the exact opposite. It's a little bit more lenient, and it's a little bit more open communication back and forth between the parent and the child. And the authoritative is actually one of the better, if not the best, parenting style that kind of promotes better growth within society as well as for the children. Of course, the unemployed response to their children's needs and wants based off of Tyson's study in 2017. There's a lot of cultural differences when it comes to raising children. As we all know, culture varies from person to person, and how we carry out certain things is based just off of that, off of our culture and where we came from. For example, American families are actually more authoritative, so we're a little bit more lenient with our children, whereas Chinese families are a little bit more authoritarian, where you're up at this time, you're doing this certain thing at this certain time, you're going to this school, you're going to study this, and so on and so forth. Other examples of cultural differences, for example, Norwegian parents, and this is based off a study back in 2018, or this year actually, sorry. Norwegian parents let their kids sleep in the freezing cold, whereas also the French don't cater to fussy eaters. So instead of, if a child doesn't want to eat this, the French will actually eat the same thing that they're eating. Parents generally raise their children with the goal of molding them into effective adults. That's kind of where the cultural difference comes in. Like what is happiness for certain children? What is the end goal? How connected is a family? And then just kind of like what your faith and ethics are and stuff like that. That kind of lead to the overall quality of life for said culture and for said children. Per Bernstein in 2016, there are two fundamental patterns in child rearing. There's individualistic and collectivistic. Individualistic cultures emphasize self-sufficiency, whereas collectivists kind of focus on the group and the family as a whole, and kind of the family that they're a part of. Going into the pros of parenting styles, for the authoritative parents, they have more academic performance for students, and for children, there's also more personal development and higher mental health, and as well as open communication. Having the authoritative parenting style really opens a door for children and for the parents, and kind of creates that gateway, differentiating between the "I'm your friend" and "I'm your parent" kind of window that we see more often today. Though we have that, a lot of the cons are there's a lot of restrictions that can lead to low, which can negatively affect children as they get into their teenage years and progress into adulthood. It also refines rules around the house, defines rules around the house, because there's no set of rules. It's kind of based off the nurturing for the child. Leading into the authoritarian parents, a lot of pros actually are they do create disciplined children. They help obey the rules. It creates goal orientation for the children, and it creates a lot of desire to do what's right, to do something correct, kind of a perfectionist point of view. However, with that, the con feels a lot of anger for doesn't the way they want to, then that could lead to a lot of negative thoughts and a lot of negative aspects. It also skews the perception of society and creates a lower self-esteem on top of that. Permissive parenting, the last form of parenting that we're going to go over today, is communication becomes a two-way street. So it's more they try to the parent and the children or the child, sorry, the parent and the child communicate back and forth rather than it's the parent telling the child to do something, and it potentially has the ability to minimize conflict as well as encourage children to be more creative. A lot of conflict, though, can lead to risky behavior. Kind of giving your child too much leeway can make them kind of assume dominance and kind of like say like for a male type, making it feel like they're the man of the house and so on and so forth. It also kind of mitigates or negates a sense of boundaries within the family and for the children. So a big thing that I took from should the authoritative style is not only statistically but has been proven to be the better parenting style amongst children and families, just because it does create that open window. It does still have a set of boundaries and a set of rules for families and children. And on top of that, it creates a better social standard for them, and it kind of leads them to not only be socially but academically as well. Of course, it's going to vary culture to culture, but speaking from statistics, the authoritative parenting style is the best. And that is the end of my speech. Thank you guys. Have a great day.